It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Bear inside the 5. Bear into the end zone. It's a touchdown.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Rob Wright the third just won it for BYU.
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here are your hosts, Mitch Harper and Nate Slack, on your legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Cougar fans, and welcome on into Cougar Sports Saturday. On this beautiful August 15th, Mitch, it was a bit of a rainy week. Were you able to stay dry? No house flooding or anything like that?
Yes, I do like a good summer rain. I don't like the summer Florida rain, but here in Utah, it's a pleasant, welcome addition. I always like a good, rainy night, but today, pretty good weather outside here in Broadcast House at downtown Salt Lake City. But it was a nice change of pace, a little bit cooler temps this week. Even yesterday morning, my oldest son, he went off to 7th grade first day, kind of like when rookies report to training camp in the NFL. 7th graders reported to junior high on a Friday to get one day early before the vets report to junior high. And in the morning, I'm there at school and dropping him off, and I'm like, oh, it's a little bit chilly. Obviously, he wanted me nowhere near him because he's a 7th grader, and he's just like, Dad, this is what kindergartners do, drop it off. Like, I'm just realizing, I'm getting old and you're getting older. But yes, it's been a nice week, and it's been also an interesting week. The temperature has been kind of different around BYU athletics, and that's where we start things off in the Cougar Pulse.
The biggest story that gets to the heart of BYU fans. It's the Cougar Pulse.
Since last week, when we were last on the air on Saturday, there's been a lot of rumor, a lot of talking. Last Saturday night, hours after we wrapped up our show, BYU Associate Athletic Director John McBride went to Cougar Board, popular BYU fan message board, on the heels of many Cougar fans going on social media, message boards, having rumors about the job status of Brian Santiago, the athletic director. Was he going to get fired? They were wondering if he's going to get fired. The exact post or point of reference, that is still kind of unsure on that, but it was picking up steam to the point where an associate AD went to Cougar Board and said, hey, Brian Santiago's still the AD. I was with him at this women's soccer game. Let's get ready for the upcoming season. Go Cougs. And I think he maybe walked away from that post thinking that was going to cure all the issues. In fact, felt like that added oxygen to the whole story. And it's led now to people wondering about the relationship of Kalani Sitake and Brian Santiago, to the point that Kalani addressed it this week at BYU Picture Day on Wednesday. And this was Kalani on his relationship with BYU's AD, Brian Santiago.
Guys, I'm easy to, how's my relationship with everybody? I'm easy to get along with, as long as you just take care of our football team and take care of the boys. The focus has got to be on the players. So the focus shouldn't be on my relationship with anybody other than my relationship with these players and being their leader. And the great thing is we have amazing leadership on the team, so I don't have to do much. I mean, they make my job a lot easier. I just got to make sure we can avoid all the distractions, so that's my job. I'm trying to make sure these guys get all the attention, because the attention needs to be on them going into the season, So I've made comments and talked about things in the past. But once the season starts, I'm all about the boys and all about what the fans expect. And so we're trying to meet all our fans' expectations, and that's what I'm working on right now.
Nate, your reaction to this wild week of speculation around BYU athletics?
Yeah, that statement alone by Kalani, it feels so loaded. First of all, the distraction piece, him saying I don't want to be a distraction. Can we work on better time frames with this guy? Because he's got the Penn State negotiations happening the week of the Big 12 championship. He's got this going on just before the season starts. So there's obviously something going on. And then when he doesn't flat out say, oh, me and Brian have a great relationship, because that's easy just to throw out there and just be done and move on from it. But saying, "Oh, guys, I'm easy to get along with. You know who I am. Like I get along with everybody." So it kind of dodges the question. I just there's something going on, and I don't feel like it's really going to end, because I think fans are going to talk about this forever, right? I mean, it feels like we're at the point of the offseason now where you're just kind of scratching for anything, and so this has been a bigger news story than I think would have been had it maybe not gone to Cougar Board, had it maybe been earlier in the offseason. But at this point, with Brian Santiago being a brand new athletic director, it was already kind of a questionable hire from some people, because some people just don't like him, and it was already a little bit of an uphill battle for him. I just feel like this has made things even worse and more difficult, and I'm not sure how you fix it from here without one of the two being gone from the situation.
It's a tough deal, and amidst all this, with all this speculation and conversation, BYU hired a deputy athletic director from Kentucky in Mark Hill, and we'll get to more on him. But that added another layer to all of this that, on the surface, made Cougar fans feel like maybe there's something here. And I asked Kalani directly if Mark Hill would be kind of the individual that he reports to in the athletic department. He kind of had a non-answer and said, not sure. The administration hasn't decided yet. Mark Hill has a football background from as a player, but also his long-standing time at Kentucky, where he worked for the Big Blue Nation for more than almost 3 decades. So, we'll get more to him on that, but I think you're right. This Kalani Sitake, Brian Santiago stuff will always be kind of in the backdrop now. And I do think that it's not uncommon for coaches and athletic departments to maybe have some points of contention, because I think both of these individuals want to see BYU win at a very high level. There's high expectations from all involved. I think that it is a strange deal to see this all coming to a head again, because you thought that back in December this was all put behind them. And look, there's in that moment, when Penn State was calling, it looked like Jay Hill was probably going to be the next head coach, and BYU was maybe ready to move on from Kalani Sitake, and Kalani was going to go to Penn State, which would have been a terrible pill to swallow, because, again, I think even though Kalani at times I think has been taken for granted as the head coach at BYU, I think he's shown that he is the right man for BYU. His ability to retain a roster, his ability to develop a culture within a transactional era of college football, and the man just truly loves BYU football to the core. Even on day one of fall camp, he made a reference again, as he did on day one of his tenure as BYU's head coach. He grew up a fan. He loves BYU football. This is his love. So, to think of him anywhere else potentially, there's got to be things have got to get cleared up, because the last thing you want is for Kalani Sitake to entertain the coaching carousel again. Because honestly, Nate, I feel like this is building up to where he might be on the market again. And that just blows me away, because I thought what happened in December put that all to rest. Even he said as much. He's like, I'm here to stay now. Like, this is now done. And where, and again, a little bit of that is reading between the lines and speculation. So hopefully everything can get cleared up. Everything can move forward, and everyone can get on the same page, because ultimately everyone wants BYU to win at a high level. But I just think there's got to be some clearances or some things cleared up. And I think what's unfortunate for the fans, and that's what I think made the whole athletic department statement on Cougar Board, which I've been on Cougar Board. I've seen it for many years, for a quarter century, back in the days when it was BYU Board. I remember the days of Bernard. Look, I just know you, Cougar fans. I know you. And I've never seen a BYU administrator go to Cougar Board for anything. They almost act like it doesn't exist, but everyone we know is looking at it. And just to see that statement, it was bizarre. And hopefully whatever's going on in that athletic department can get cleared up, and maybe Mark Hill can be a stabilizing force too.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point what you bring up, because it's not uncommon for people to have disagreements in the workplace. And
no.
I mean, I've had bosses I didn't see eye to eye with, and you just kind of make it work and you go along and you do your own thing. I think what's different in this situation too is you're working with sports. So you have a bunch of people who are really competitive, and I think they have different paths to the same ultimate goal. But what hurts BYU in this situation, I think, is just BYU in general is not a very transparent organization. It's not a very transparent program because they don't have to be. They're a private institution, so they keep a lot of the things under wraps. But that leads to people wanting information, and they start to use their imaginations and fill in some blanks. And so I think that's where things start to get kind of steamrolling and getting out of control. But overall, Look, I don't think this is as big of a deal as people are making it out to be, because I think it's common for this kind of thing to happen. And I think Brian Santiago and Kalani Sitake are smart enough to understand what's going on. I think it'll be able to be worked out, but it's just the distraction that concerns me.
And I think also, too, you see what's happening with BYU football. They are knocking on the door of the playoff with solid resources, and I think that should be acknowledged. BYU football has improved its resources significantly from where they started in the Big 12 to where they're at now. And it's at a solid place. But I think that Kalani Sitake staking his career on BYU, staying here long term, he wants to build this into a powerhouse. He wants this to become a national power. And within your own conference, you've got someone in Texas Tech that, whether they're the villain or not, and you hate them for what they were dealing with Sorsby, they're not slowing down. And Cody Campbell is going to turn Texas Tech into a behemoth, and they're not slowing down with high school recruiting. No high school recruit is suddenly saying, oh, that Sorsby stuff really turned us away from wanting to get a massive payday. And they're getting 5-star recruits, not only from Texas, but the Midwest as well. Like, Texas Tech is building a really good operation. And I think not only Texas Tech, but Kalani saw firsthand what Penn State was doing. He's been linked to the coaching carousel for many years. He's seen bits and pieces throughout this process. He wants BYU to maybe not get to that, because BYU is never going to be the highest bidder on anything, but to just be like, imagine what they do if they go all in on a roster. Imagine if BYU had, say, a $40 million roster. Now, you can question whether that's worth it or not, but imagine if they did. I feel very confident this is not a $40 million roster. If they were, I would say confidently this coaching staff, paired up with a $40 million roster and the culture in that locker room, they're getting the playoff. But without a $40 million roster, maybe you have some questions about the depth at quarterback. You have some questions about the depth at running back, the wide receiver room, and so on. So maybe those could have been alleviated with a $40 million roster. And I think, again, money is an issue. That's where a lot of this comes from with some of the speculation and drama. But I think ultimately all things can work out. And I will say, too, as we get to a break, I didn't get the sense from players that they were even aware of these rumors and speculation. Yeah. I don't think they're on their phones. Don't get it twisted, but I don't think they're going on Cougar Board much. I think that's kind of a different world that really doesn't cross their paths, their algorithms very often, if at all. Let's take a break. Let's get to more of BYU's deputy AD hire, and then coming up, reaction to Fall Camp Scrimmage, number 1, taking place at LaVell Edwards Stadium right now. We'll hit on that a little bit later here on the show.